How does a team reach the World Cup final conceding just a single goal in 7 matches? And on the flip side, can a 39-year-old Lionel Messi, riding a historic 8-goal run, actually shatter that exact same flawless defense? Welcome to this data-driven explainer of the absolute most anticipated football match of the decade, the 2026 World Cup final between Spain and Argentina. We are going to break down the numbers, the tactics, and the AI's ultimate score prediction. Before we jump into this completely objective, logical analysis, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop a like on the explainer. All right, let's get into it.
So, let's start with that first question because we really have to look at this staggering defensive statistic from Spain. Think about this for a second. 7 matches against the absolute best teams on the planet, and they've given up exactly 1 goal. It genuinely forces us to ask if this Spanish side is an immovable object. We are looking at a defensive run that's pushing into historically rare territory. I mean, we're talking about a level of organization that rivals the greatest World Cup winning defenses of all time.
But of course, you have to ask the ultimate counter question. Can the unstoppable force of Lionel Messi's historic 8-goal run tear down that Spanish wall? At 39 years old, Messi isn't just hanging around. He is completely dominating. He's elevating his teammates and pushing Argentina to the brink of becoming the first back-to-back World Cup champions since Brazil did it way back in 1962. It is literally the perfect narrative clash.
Now, when we look at their paths to the final, the contrast is just wild. Spain navigated their group and knockout stages with absolute clinical precision. They scored 13 goals and allowed just that solitary strike against Belgium. Total suffocation. Argentina, well, they've been a complete roller coaster. They found the back of the net 14 times, but conceded 7, surviving these incredibly tense, draining comebacks. We're talking a 3-2 thriller against Cabo Verde, an epic 3-2 turnaround against Egypt, and a nail-biting 2-1 win over England in the semis.
Tactically, the clash between these two titans couldn't be more distinct. Spain defends by just hoarding the ball. But more importantly, the second they lose it, they trigger a suffocating counterpress. They swarm you instantly, choking out your attack before you can even look up. Argentina has embraced a totally different philosophy under pressure. They are more than comfortable dropping into a deep defensive block, absorbing wave after wave of attacks, and then boom, they rely on lightning-fast transition strikes and the unmatched genius of Messi to exploit whatever space you left behind.
What's really fascinating here is how closely matched they are offensively, but how wildly they diverge on defense. Digging into the numbers, Argentina actually edges it in goals per game at 2.7 compared to Spain's 1.9, and they carry a slightly higher expected goals, or XG. Both teams absolutely love having the ball, with Spain averaging 71% possession and Argentina at 66%. But defensively, Spain is allowing an absurd 0.1 goals per game. Their defensive metrics are unprecedented in modern international football. Just to put Spain's defense into perspective, throughout this entire tournament, they have allowed their opponents an expected goals of just 0.31 per game. Guys, that is the joint lowest by any team in the last 60 years. Even against a lethal French attack in the semifinals, they allowed exactly 0.31 XG. They aren't just relying on their keeper making a string of lucky world-class saves, they're systematically preventing teams from even taking dangerous shots in the first place. And the guy driving that historical dominance? Midfielder Rodri. He has completed a mind-blowing 655 passes at this World Cup. That's the most by a single player in a World Cup edition on record since 1966. Rodri is quite literally the engine of the Spanish system. He dictates the tempo, recycles possession, and makes sure Spain's structural integrity never cracks. That structural integrity comes straight from the top. Spain's manager, Luis de la Fuente, demands absolute devotion to a collective system. His players are rigidly dedicated to it, and clearly it works. He's undefeated in 14 major tournament games. Lionel Scaloni, on the other hand, is the master of pragmatism. He is incredibly adaptable, constantly tweaking Argentina's shape to maximize Messi's playmaking and aggressively target the specific vulnerabilities of whoever is in front of them. It is the ultimate battle of a flawless system against elite adaptability. This huge disparity sets up the core positional battle of the final. We have Argentina's highly versatile, lethal attack crashing straight into Spain's flawless defensive structure. Because both teams desperately want to dictate the game, the midfield battle for possession is going to be an absolute war. Whoever wins the center of the pitch dictates the entire tempo. If Spain's midfield controls it, the game slows down to their methodical rhythm. If Argentina creates chaos in the middle, the whole game breaks wide open.
Now, looking at key matchups across the pitch, a massive duel to watch on the flanks will be Spain's unpredictable 19-year-old wonder kid, Lamine Yamal. He's been exceptional at creating width and drawing crucial penalties. He's going to be testing the absolute resolve of Emiliano Martinez, Argentina's veteran goalkeeper. Martinez is legendary for making those heroic, match-saving stops and totally commanding his penalty area when the pressure is suffocating, especially on set pieces.
But the showdown everyone is waiting for is Lionel Messi facing off against Rodri and Marc Cucurella. Messi thrives on exploiting transitions and drifting into those tiny pockets of space. But he's going up against Rodri, who patrols the center flawlessly, and Cucurella, who hasn't missed a minute and has systematically erased passing lanes against world-class wingers all tournament. How Messi navigates this specific defensive web is the ultimate tactical puzzle.
So, breaking down Spain's tactical profile, the crucial takeaway is this. While their counterpress and midfield control are historically elite, they do have a fatal flaw. They historically struggle to score against teams that just sit back in deep defensive blocks. If they dominate possession but can't find the back of the net, they tend to get dragged into penalty shootouts. And remember, that is exactly how they crashed out of the 2018 and 2022 World Cups.
Conversely, look at Argentina. They have incredible attacking versatility and terrifying transition speed, plus an emotional intensity that no one else can match. But the data reveals a glaring weakness. They blow leads. We saw it against Egypt, we saw it against England. They have a bad habit of letting teams back into the game under sustained pressure, which forces them into these dramatic, incredibly exhausting comebacks.
All right, now that we've laid out the tactical blueprints, let's get to the AI analytics and match scenarios. We've fed all of this tactical data, historical performance metrics, and tournament form into the AI models to predict exactly how this final is most likely to play out.
The AI analysis points to three main paths for this match. There is a dominant 55% probability of a controlled 1-0 Spanish victory. The second most likely outcome, at 30%, is a chaotic 2-1 Argentine comeback, which would perfectly mirror their run so far. And finally, there's a 15% probability of the match ending in a draw and going to the absolute lottery of a penalty shootout. If the deadlock does get broken, the AI data highlights three players most likely to strike first. Number one is Spain's Mikel Oyarzabal, their top scorer with 5 goals, who is phenomenal at capitalizing on high turnovers. Number two is, obviously, Lionel Messi, who is absolutely lethal on counterattacks and free kicks. And number three is Spain's Mikel Merino, who has proven to be an immense threat in those tense late-game situations. Let's walk through the highest probability scenario, which the AI calls the Spanish stranglehold. In this model, Spain establishes over 70% possession right from the kickoff. Argentina responds by dropping into a deep defensive block. But here's the catch. Every time Argentina tries to break out, Spain's relentless counterpress just suffocates the transition before it even crosses midfield. This leads to a highly calculated, low-scoring victory for Spain, feeling very similar to their famous 2010 run. But we have to talk about the surprise scenario, the Argentine ambush. Here, Spain completely dominates the ball, but falls into that old trap of failing to penetrate the block. Argentina absorbs the pressure, frustrates Spain, and starts drawing critical fouls. Then, totally against the run of play, Messi orchestrates a rapid counterattack or delivers a flawless set piece. In this scenario, Argentina shocks Spain in a chaotic 2-1 thriller. Taking all those metrics, probabilities, and tactical styles into account, the final AI score prediction is a 1-0 victory for Spain. Why? Because historically, these matchups are decided by stylistic counters. Argentina's heavy reliance on transitions plays directly into Spain's greatest strength, their elite counterpress. Plus, Rodri's absolute dominance in the midfield is statistically highly likely to starve Messi of the possession he needs to actually perform his magic. So, to answer the ultimate question of who will lift the 2026 World Cup and why, the AI's data-driven conclusion is definitive. Spain will lift the trophy because their collective defensive system is historically unprecedented, allowing absolutely zero space for individual brilliance to breathe. It's the ultimate triumph of a flawless collective system over individual genius.
Now, if this explainer brought you some value today, or if you just want to support the channel, you can drop a super thanks using the heart button below. It really helps out. Also, jump into the comments and let us know what matches, topics, or specific data you want us to analyze next. But for now, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. When Sunday arrives, will the cold logic of data and flawless tactical control actually prevail, or is Lionel Messi simply destined by pure emotional willpower to shatter the data and rewrite the statistics one last time?